I was far too enthusiastic for this time of day. My body vibrated with the kind of energy you have before the years tick by and the circles under your eyes deserve their own nicknames. The kind of enthusiasm the policeman would surely deem a cover-up for a 23-year-old trying to appear sober. "It's a bit early to be walking here," he said. "This isn't a safe area for a woman alone this time of the morning. Do you need a ride?" I wasn't sure how true that was. The East Village seemed like a pretty safe place, even at 4 a.m. A part of me doubted whether I would have found myself in the same scenario had I not been a young white woman making her way to work. I hesitated. Should I ride in the back of a cop car or wait for the subway? After a bit of mental calculus, balancing the subway or a free ride, I climbed into the back seat. 58th and 8th, I called. "So where are you headed this early?" the younger cop said, looking in the rearview mirror. "It's my first day on the job," I paused. "At CNN." It was the first time I'd said it. I let the words linger in the air. "Fancy," the older cop barked, winking, then taking a swig of coffee. I grinned. I didn't tell him it was a tentative position as a freelance news assistant. And I certainly didn't tell him that my biggest accomplishment so far as a budding journalist had been getting a toe in the door. It involved every skill I had: tenacity without being annoying, creativity, and above all, scrappiness. I'd been working toward this moment for a decade. As the police car came to a stop, I thanked the officers and exited to a lightning sky. The sun had yet to rise on the postcard view of Central Park. The streetlights danced across the buildings. It wouldn't be long until the scent of vendors selling honey-roasted nuts and coffee for morning commuters filled the air. I took in a deep breath and looked around at the quiet streets, listening to the yellow taxis cruise by. As I walked through the revolving doors of one Time Warner Center, I felt like I was walking onto a movie set, complete with opening credits to my own life. Inside the building, everything was dark and marble, and in the early hours, completely silent. Apart from the clicking heels of rushed producers making coffee runs before the morning shows began, entering and exiting seamlessly with electronic badges. The security guards sat in an authoritative row near the doors, and one of them noticed me stalling near the turnstile. "Miss?" he said, looking over, his eyebrow raised, his demeanor questioning how I'd made it into the building. "It's my first day," I said with unchecked enthusiasm. He grunted and pointed me to another guard, who ushered me to the 7th floor. There, yet another guard who didn't share my enthusiasm took a snapshot of me smiling too widely, adjusting my collar in time for the flash. Then I was shuttled back down the elevator to the 4th floor, where dozens of desks dotted the open newsroom. Cameras stretching their necks like giraffes hovering over the jungle of tangled monitors and blinking screens. Day or night, the newsroom was a labyrinth of incoming feeds, lights from the control rooms flashing on and off, edit bays where TV segments were cut to be later aired on shows like Anderson Cooper 360 lined the hallways. I'd spent the last week researching the producers I'd be working for, the ones who'd reported on 9/11. They were the hard-nosed journalists who ran toward the buildings, risking their lives to relay the news, documenting the horror of that day almost 7 years ago. I had scrolled through YouTube videos, listening to their voices stating the facts. I studied their names, pressing pause and play over and over again. They were the real deal, and I was entering their bullpen. I'd be training under the best. I took a seat and waited with a handful of other freshly minted news assistants. Despite my excitement, I knew where we stood. We were freelancers, entry-level nobodies with a 1-year trial period to impress the right people or else get out. I knew I'd have to find a way to make myself stand out in a sea of ambitious journalism hopefuls who'd made it this far. With relentless work, the right advocates, and perfect timing, I'd have a shot at a full-time position. As the others exchanged tips and small talk, I sat silently, watching as producers stalked in and out of the newsroom. Reporters marched around in their heels, and desk managers barked orders into their phones. I felt both terrified